Hello and welcome to another episode of my podcast, 10,000 Hours and Counting. Support for the journey as being a spiritual person, a soul in a human body. I'm Laura Gearmans, and it's the second episode for 2026. Sort of hard to believe in some ways. Time is doing its usual timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly thing. And I guess for many of you, it might be feeling almost a bit too fast or lots of things happening. And for others, it may be feeling quite slow or sluggish. And for some of you, it might be all of that and all at once. So far, we talked about transformation. That was the first episode, how to bring transformation, make it real, make it lasting in your life. I honestly feel we've been on this pathway, this trajectory now. I mean, you could even say since 2020, there's so much happening for Earth energetically, spiritually, astrologically. But really, this year, with its numerology of number one, the universal year, the energy of the fire horse, transmutation and possibilities of seeding new in our lives. So I feel like I'm going to blow out a little bit, eke out that theme of transformation, other things that come up under the banner of transformation. The one that's been coming up a lot. So we're in an interesting time right now because we've just come through with the equinox. So the weekend before this, and that's that energy, whether you're in the southern or the northern hemisphere, of a time of equal hours of day and night. And it's really a gateway, it's an opportunity. I take it as an invitation to connect into Earth herself, to what's going on for her and her natural cycles and rhythms. It's so wonderful as a human being to remember. It's nourishing to connect into those cycles of Earth. And then from there, find into your own cycles. It's really important to see ourselves as those organic beings as well, that we are spiritual beings and we are also these physical beings, but we are organic. We are not automatons. We are not machines. So if you've had that time with Equinox, if you see anything I've posted or anything anyone else has posted in that gateway, that potential of balance and harmonizing and either gathering your resources, if you're in the southern hemisphere and you're in autumn now, it'll be into winter, or if you're in the northern hemisphere and you've got the spring has sprung energy, new gateways, new possibilities. Whatever energy you're in, it's been helpful to be understanding that everything is changing and in flux and that we are able to harness that balanced opportunity of the equinox to sort of take in more nourishment for the next part of the journey. So, what I want to talk about today on the path of transformation is disappointment, expectations, dreams or desires, unfulfilled ones. When we look at the natural world, we see how everything changes all of the time. It's always a cycle, it's always a movement. So nature seems to have a very good idea of how to compost, to release what is no longer needed, and allow that to become the next step for the new growth. Now, as humans, we quite often have trouble with letting go what has been in order to create the new. I think many people would much rather prefer to be able to have their garment of the old still there, that old maybe cozy, slightly ratty cardigan, and not take it off until someone presents them with the jacket of the new, and only then take it off and leave it, and then instantly put on the new and be from one into the other. People really, their minds just say it's too fearful to be in that space of unknowing, and I don't really want to let go of the past in case it means that I have let go of something that was valuable, or in some way I'm saying it was no longer worth my time or effort, even if it is something that I do leave behind, either a habit, a location, a job, an aspect of self, a relationship. We come up with the energy of disappointment. Now, this is something that's normal for all humans, all of us, of course. And it doesn't matter whether you're on your path, you're new to your path, you're not on your path. But I am talking about those of us who are working with spiritual energy, who understand that we are a soul having a human experience. And you might think, well, if you were open to subtle energies like that, you won't be thinking about the energy of disappointment. You won't be working in those other ways. But the truth is, it does come up because we are all still here as human beings. So it's a nice time to look at where you are feeling, because what happens sometimes is we have ideas or expectations or dreams, and whether they're supposed to be for us or not is the question that we don't always know. So it's a really good time that you can wait and see. I like to call it soul alignment. And you will have heard me say soul alignment many times before. It's how I work with my clients. I'm most interested in what the human personality and the soul are here to do together, and to kindly allow the human personality to let go of the heaviness of expectation and allow it to come into line with what the soul wants. Because in this modern world, too, there's so many ways we can see what other people are doing. It's very easy to be aware of the many levels of potential that are out there. But the easiest thing is for you to find the alignment of what is for you, because the broken dreams and the unfulfilled expectations, truly, if you ask your soul about that, the soul would compassionately and lovingly say to you, those were not for you. So it's your learning to be in sadness about them. Sometimes it's something where it may have been a relationship, an aspect of self, even something that you used to do in the world where it was you, it was how you expressed yourself, it was the right time, but the timing shifts. And so it's no longer appropriate for you to hold on or to clasp on. Now, if that's a relationship, it means that it's opportunity for the other person also to be able to move on. That if you stay clasping it too tightly, it doesn't allow for any room of growth for either of the parties involved. But I've been noticing with some clients of mine too, they're talking about the disappointment of when they had a plan for their life, and especially in terms of their vocation or what they're doing in the world. And they're trained, they spend a lot of time and energy training for something because they're passionate about it. They're a practitioner who's got this amazing new strand that they're working with, but they're not finding purchase for it yet in the material world. They're not finding a way to make it happen. They know it has value. We have this internal value. We know when things, especially when you're on the path and you're in those frequencies, you can tell when something has the juice and it feels worthwhile. And even if you can't explain why, you can put energy into it. But then the human mind part wants to come in. And again, human mind wants to use spiritual energy in its own way. So it still will be wanting to plan and say, this could be that, and you need these 10 steps to get there. And if it's not yet yielding the result for you, should you give up? Should you be disappointed? Should you feel that you're in heartbreak? I've had some clients say to me recently, my heart is broken because what I want to happen and what I'm trying to birth in the world, I can't get it to have any purchase or any traction. And they feel their heart is broken. So there's two things here. One thing is I really don't believe that the heart as an energy field cannot be broken. It can be broken open, but it's really that your heart wants to help you to let go of the heavy expectations and the things that will not serve you so that more soul presence can come in. And the soul is always that purity that says yes, has the hope, has the light, has the spark and the inspiration. And people will say, when I tune into my higher self, or I have an angel card reading, or I tune into the angels, I always get this hopeful message. They always say something about the path ahead, remains full of fertile promise and potent opportunity. They always got positivity. And I once had another practitioner say to me, a friend of mine, she said, sometimes I just want to tell them, get out of here. Why is it always positive? Well, of course it's positive because we need that, the heaviness of the human mind and what it can take to be human can really make you get stuck in, as I said, heaviness and low energy. And so spirit is of all of lightness. So they want to give us that freedom to keep connecting to something over and above, the energy of hope, keeping it alive in your heart. It's not always easy to do. Don't mistake me, or don't think that I'm saying you just blow away the disappointment. It's like blowing off dandelion fluff. But you do need to take a certain level of self-mastery, self-care and love, really. If you're getting to a point where you feel that you're so weighed down by the disappointment of what never was or what came to be and didn't seem to turn out the way you had wanted it to, just for your own self-care and just to not go mad with that, you need to disengage yourself. And this is about intention and energy practices too. Disengage yourself, clear out the cobwebs of all of that potential, lost potential. And artists will understand this too. Spiritual creators will understand this. You may have a project that you've been working on, art or whatever it is, a book or something for some time, but you feel that you're not able to get it actually where you want it to be. And so you do this intentional ritual. You work with an energy practitioner. You let it go. And if it's meant to be, it will come back. It's not that you're actually taking your book or your half-finished art project and throwing it in the rubbish or burning it, but by letting it go and not putting any expectation on it, you open these tendrils, these energy gateways for it to become something else, possibly. to drop into your vision in a new way. It's the same way with anything you're trying to manifest, if it's a relationship, if it's a new aspect of you, that the sense of creation has to come where we then take our hands off the wheel and we actually say, so I've done my amount of this, I've put in my intention and my energy, but now I let the divine come in with divine energy because there's only so much as a human I can do alone before I get locked into the tension and the negativity and then telling myself stories about what has or hasn't happened, which is where disappointment lands. And disappointment is a hard thing to sit through and to go through. It can be a beautiful quantifying, like alchemizing energy. It really does help to sort of shear off energetically from you what is no longer needed. And it can be a bit scouring too. So it's a useful tool, but you wouldn't want to be stuck in the feeling of disappointment for a very long time because it's very wearing. It can grind you down unnecessarily. So I wanted to talk about this feeling and to say to us all, it's okay to feel disappointed. It's okay to be a soul and a human and to allow the human part to want to express its disappointment in things not turning out. And we're not talking about just material goals where some people think if they check off their list of material goals, they'll be happy. We are talking about spiritual and aspirational goals and things where, as I said before, you might be someone wanting to bring something through to the world that you know has value that feels beautiful for you, but you don't know how to get it out there or it's not out there yet. So, is there ever a time to give up? I wouldn't say give up, but I would say let go and allow, take your human hands off and allow the divine to take the wheel. I hope this is helpful for you because as we are in this period of transmutation and really changing the way we are as beings and changing our life and our opportunities and making that be the lasting kind of refinement of the self. We're refining all these parts. You will see all these other things come up. So the intention is to change, to transform pain, to alchemize it into something that is worthwhile and useful for you, to help your journey feel a bit lighter, because we're not here just to be burdened and bogged down. We're here to work with the pain or the fear, bring it through into the light, and then become more of our own power and energy, and then be a source of good in the world as we transmute the fear. What remains out of that is the growth, the purity. It's like more of your soul light coming online within you, shining from you, through you, and into the world. But disappointment is something to face. So if that's something that's coming up for you right now, I would encourage you to have a moment of accepting it. So feeling into what the disappointment is, allowing yourself to grieve. Grief is such a big thing for humans, and sometimes people don't feel they can give themselves permission to grieve something if it's not the loss of health or a person or something that seems huge. If it's just simply the ending of a dream that you thought you had, people sometimes want to sort of pack that away. They don't think that it's worthwhile, or they're worried they'll get stuck in this grief spiral. So honor where you're at. And I always say it's like talking to the universe. So it's prayer or meditation or intention, but you don't necessarily need to even tell another person if it doesn't feel that you want to be doing that. You don't need input, but you need to be witnessed. So go into your sacred space, connect to your heart, call upon God, the universe, the divine beings, the angels, and take a moment to let them know if you actually need to cry, whatever it is. But feel the energy of disappointment. Let yourself just feel into it for a bit and just see the edges of what that is for you, because it's important to give yourself this period where you understand that maybe you were operating in some way with these expectations and maybe you were bringing too much to bear on something. And in focusing with a laser-like focus on one aspect of a project or a part of you or the dream, you're missing something else in the background. So it's always helpful. I always think of someone making very intricate jewelry and they have to use the huge magnifier to see this tiny, tiny thing in front of them. They'll always need at some point to put the magnifier down, step back, and see what the whole, the totality of the thing looks like. Because focusing on that one little bit will sure can bring through an important or a beautiful part, but it won't have an overall effect unless you step back and wait. This means that we have to have the courage to say, I'm actually unhappy about this, because the point of us is not to come here as humans and just be happy. It's not really going to be that way, but it's about being peaceful and in, as I said before, alignment with the soul path as much as possible. If disappointment is creeping up for you, I really encourage you to give yourself that gift in a bit of sacred space to sit with it, because often when we shine a light of awareness on disappointment and where we think we could have, should have, would have done all the different things, just by giving ourselves the time to voice it quietly for ourselves or to sit with it. And another thing I like to do, you will have seen this before, heard me guide you through a mini meditation where you essentially focus on the breath and you allow the energy of disappointment in this case to present itself to you with a color or an image or a shape. And you sit, you can do it with pain in the body. You can sit with that visualization, that sensation of what represents, in this case, the disappointment for you. And you can get a feeling of where are you feeling it? Is it somewhere in your body? Does it come in through your thinking processes? But just witnessing it and giving it form and then sitting with it and breathing it in and not trying to make it be anything else and not using the disappointment as a lens to say, and then I could have, and he said, and she said, and if only, but just to simply be present with the frequency of disappointment. See it, feel it, experience it for a few breaths where it feels right for you. Then start to see if you can feel where it is in your body. And then as you start to encompass that energy and have an awareness of actually be willing to face it, you can then allow the opposite to come in. So that's when you would call on your soul, you would call on the angels, and you would basically be saying, I understand that I am more than this disappointment. I understand that I am more than just this human emotion, and it has its value, but I'm asking to be shown, to be helped, to be stepped into that frequency of the next part of the learning and the lesson and the understanding of why the disappointment needs to be there. Now, again, you're not necessarily needing to get an answer. You can journal this, you can do automatic writing for yourself or any of those tools. But when you have a dialogue with the universe, question and answer is not the same as a question and answer with a university lecturer. It's really about positing information and then waiting and allowing for yourself to receive inspirations and ideas. Often some people will get an instant answer, but I have clients say, I tuned in and I didn't really get the answer, but then I had the feeling to go over here and do this, So it's again, it's reading your own language of intuition. Are you getting an instant written answer, or are you just getting a sensation or a feeling, and then later on there's a phone call, or later on you've put that project away? It's about you put it away, and then something comes through where someone calls you, or you find there's another aspect of new life to it, but you don't get to the new life without composting the old, is where I want to bring it back to. So I'm not saying that we don't feel disappointment, but we have to feel it and then allow it to be that gateway for the new. Because I truly believe that we are all here, as I say, to refine and to come bring our personality in line with our soul. As we do this and we allow more of our authentic self to arise, that really will help the groundswell of earth. It helps us all eventually stepping into this frequency. We're manifesting now of new earth where there is more of an energy of freedom and community and respect for all on Earth. As Earth steps into this fifth dimensional reality, it will give us all the opportunity to ascend. And that just means leave behind heaviness and transmute it into more meaning and more really experience of the path in a lighter way. We don't always need to be in the heaviness. Sometimes transformation is about being willing to just look with new eyes. It's not about the excavation anymore, but it's about being willing to hold the space for new to come in. And how do you allow the new in? Again, being like a child and allowing yourself to have that freedom. If disappointment arises, sometimes it's almost like the disappointment is, what do I say? I don't want to say like a treat or an addiction, but sometimes it can spiral, or it can barrel like that giant rolling ball in Indiana Jones. It can get bigger and bigger, that you can sort of, if you don't witness it, you're sort of realizing you're holding it in your field, the disappointment of who said this, of what he didn't do, what you couldn't make happen. And that's when it is a time for an energy refresh. And I say to people, they come to me for the different esoteric acupuncture or healing or energy channeling, or if you're a healer yourself, doing some hands-on Reiki with the idea of clearing your body, your mind, and your fields of old and outmoded energy, seeing yourself as part of that natural cycle, as though you're a plant, you're a tree, where they know instinctively what to do, what to shed in order to let the new part through. I say this time and again, I think I've been using this Zen story now for 20 plus years, but it's the energy of, it's that story where you talk about two monks who are going on a transformational spiritual pilgrimage to a special temple high in the mountains. And in order to get there, it's quite an arduous path with many different terrains for them to cross. And at one point, they come to a wild, raging river and they cannot get across without building a little boat, a little vehicle for them to use. So there's a young monk and an older monk, and the young monk does most of the work, the labor of building the boat, the little vehicle. And they get in and they do cross safely. It's a very successful journey across the treacherous waters. And the monk is so proud. He's so happy and relieved because he didn't want anything to happen to him or to his master, the other teacher, the other monk. They get to the other side, and the next immediate terrain for them to face is a very high, very steep, rocky mountain face. Well, it immediately becomes obvious that they can't take that boat with them. It's going to be hard enough as two humans climbing the side of this mountain to get to the temple. And the older monk starts to climb, and the young monk is very reluctant to leave behind his useful boat that also cost him a lot of time and effort. And the older monk says, it's fine. It was a wonderful gift. I'm so grateful, but let's go now. It's the next part of the journey. But the young monk, he can't let it go. So, long story short, he wants to carry it. And he does all the way up the mountain. And he's far lost sight by this point of his mentor, of the older monk. But he keeps gritting and he stops at different times. He's in pain because it's so hard to carry that boat. He's crying in frustration and anger and pain. Finally gets to the top successfully with the boat, but he's just exhausted and run out and just angry and every color of emotion. And the other monk, the older monk, is sitting there looking out peacefully at this beautiful sunset or the sky, wherever you're at. And the other young monk is so frustrated and he's got this boat, but he's bleeding and he's been cut. And the older monk says, this is a wonderful lesson, to understand when it's time to let go of something, no matter how useful it was, no matter how much energy you put into it. If it doesn't fit the new circumstance, if it's not ready to come on the next part of the journey, it's only going to cause you a lot more pain than you need. So the lesson of that, I use that in many different ways. It's helped me over the years. But the idea that we don't dishonor something by letting it go or no longer using it. We don't discard it or say that it was trash. But we also don't want to bring it through with us into our new reality. And that's where the level of discernment, which we'll also be talking about some more this year, such a deep theme and a personal one as well. But where discernment comes in and says, where can I let go of the disappointment? Because if I carry that disappointment, I carry the thing with me and I try to be so rigid about carrying it, always having this thing that I created with me, this dream that I had, always keep it with me. I'm closed off to other possibilities. And also I can make my journey a lot harder. So we're not wanting to make our journey any harder than it needs to be. It's been very heavy energetic lifting. It's been very transformational and being in the stews and the alchemical fires for all of us, for all of humanity, but especially those of us who are space holders, who are working with spiritual energy, because we're really feeling the waves of that. And the reason we're feeling that, these energies have not been available on the planet before in this way. So in that case, it's almost a time to celebrate the incredible time that you are here on Earth now. It's never been this way before, and it has a lot of challenges with it, but it also has a lot of beauty coming on the other side of that. So why would we want to bring our old ways through when we're trying to birth new ways of being? Disappointment. It's a human thing. Sometimes we even have projections or ideas, maybe possibly without even being aware of it, maybe because we've seen other people go that path, or because our parents or someone we know told us different ways things can be if you take this path. Or the people who trained you in the course or the modality you want told you about the potential, the possibility of where it could take you. But you're left standing there wondering why it hasn't turned out the way you thought that it would. And I've said before here, and in my experience, I always have to walk a path where I find that I really do planning or things like that, because for me, that doesn't ever work in terms of tick, 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 it's all worked out. So for me, it's about using intention and then allowing myself to be guided and then applying myself to what is in front of me, if it's the project or whatever it is, and trying to be as present as possible to it without too much expectation, because I just find my soul doesn't do well with plans and check boxes. If yours does, if your personality does, that's really helpful, but also be aware that sometimes all of that organization in the personality can actually fall apart. If you come to a point of challenge where you're no longer able to organize in the same way, it feels like you're naked suddenly, and you feel that maybe you can't go on, and it's more stressful to you if you can't apply what you used to always apply. So if you're more porous and open to energy, if you can allow yourself into that trust frequency where you surrender yourself more often to divine energy, where you say, I've come as far as I can, this is where I want to go. Now I'm opening and I'm asking you to guide me on the next step. Ask for guidance from your higher self. Higher self is always connected to your soul. Soul is connected to all of the universe as well as all the aspects of you. So it has that ability to bring you through either in dreams, in energy work with another healer, in meditation, in your own journaling and your spiritual work using your toolkit. Soul can bring forth all that you need. It can help you to magnetize the next opportunity, the next person. It can help you to make sense of what's going on the journey. But the biggest thing I want to leave you with is really the energy of disappointment, never feeling that you're broken or that your soul is in terror or that your heart is broken, because those are really all emotional things that, in a way, the mind tells you the story, that the essence of your being, the purity of your soul light, and the energetics of your heart field are always above and beyond just the human emotion. So they hold space for the emotion, but they allow you to be just more than that. And as I say, being broken, there's the chance to be what you think shattered on the floor, but there's also the chance to continue allowing yourself to be opened and broken open to things. And I always think of that energy of what happened with the cathedral at Notre Dame. Now, forgive me for forgetting the exact year of that, but to me, there was a real spiritual aspect because you look at the triumph of them rebuilding that beautifully, and then the miraculous occurrence that the way it happened, and when the spire fell through, it just went right down into the bowels of the chapel of the building and caused that fire deep within. Now, some people say, and I do believe, that there must have needed to be an etheric cleansing of anything within that chapel, but it didn't damage the entire thing. And now it's risen. It needed to have this almost laser-like energy. So sometimes you might need to break a bone, and actually, in some way, that actually energetically has released some karma or something from the past. You might have a fall. You might have some kind of thing that's a stop start on your path. It might be health wise, or it might be financially, or the ending of a relationship that seems horrible. Back to the Notre Dame, the world was in horror to see that burning. And yet it didn't turn out to be as bad as it seemed. They didn't lose the incredible, amazing, beautiful window. And then there was a sense of triumph of all gathering together to create something beautiful. So, what I want to say about that is, as we surrender to divine will, to universal law, to what is for our soul, even a tragedy can be turned into something beautiful if we're willing to not label it as such, to see opportunity in it. And I just want to encourage anyone right now who's feeling disappointed, who's feeling the weight of their own expectations and all that they put in, especially when you've put energy and love into something, when it isn't about getting ahead or being seen, it's about something you're passionate about that you really want to see happen in the world. It's also got the energy of goodwill for others because it's some seed that you want to share with others in some way. That is disappointing when it seems to be going nowhere. So please sit in that energy. Allow yourself to feel the disappointment, but don't allow the human part to be washed over and drown in disappointment. Sit with it for a moment and then intend to look up, ask for the next step. Really just step out of yourself and ask for the vision or the guidance or even just the one next step of what can help you to turn away from the disappointment. So there's a point where we don't deny it. If you deny it, you sit on it, it's going to burst eventually and it's going to possibly have shrapnel consequences for you and other people. So you do sit with it, but you don't drown in it. Don't let yourself drown in the heaviness of any emotion. That's not the point of emotions, but they are there to stir things up. So be stirred by it. And then think about this number one frequency that we're all in and understand that change happens. And often there can be, if not violence about it, but like an agitation energy. And also understand that when you're trying to birth something new, a way of being that doesn't exist yet, think about anyone who's come before. Often people don't want to have the new, they don't understand it, or people get laughed at for their ideas of something that we now take for granted as being a normal device, a normal thing in the world. So understand that you're not going to be able to apply ways of thinking, ways of being, ways you were to this new, because it's not just new, something new for you, it's a whole new earth that we are birthing together. And as people who are connected to spiritual energy, who believe it, who work with it, who use it in their lives, either as space holders for others or just on your own path, part of our contract, our soul contract, is to hold the space for the collective to allow these changes to manifest. So that's about you having the courage to feel your pain, to view it, but then also know you're more than that. And disappointment is the beginning. We talked with Juliana a bit about the spark of what begins the transformation process. It could be a sense of deep disappointment for you. It could be, I just spent 2 years or more putting money into this course and I've learned it and I've had the practice sessions and anything. It's great. People love it. I feel good when I'm doing it. I know it's got value, and yet it doesn't seem to be happening in the world. So the disappointment can be the spark of, you can go one way or the other. Do you want to give it up and trash the whole thing? Or do you sit with the awareness that it's not just about you, it's about the divine timing? And you can be ready as early as you like. But if you're waiting for a particular flight, it's not going to come just because you've turned up 3 days early. And all it's going to do is stress you out. So honor yourself where you're in disappointment. Don't think that you're too spiritual to feel disappointment, or don't be embarrassed that you feel disappointed that things haven't worked out. Again, it's the mind stories. Just give your mind, give it a bit of Reiki, sit with some crystals, breathe some light into it. Let it just soften and dissolve those expectations, because even if you are someone who manifests things easily and you have that checklist, I'm suggesting to you that this time on earth now is so open and porous spiritually and energetically that we can go above and beyond those old ways, and we can start to be even more surprised by what can come through us, for us, and into the world. When we allow the energy of disappointment to arise and we sit with it for a moment, it's also another catalyst. It's a way to connect us to other people on an energy level, because every single person will have experienced some disappointment in some way. It can help connect us into the compassion that connects us all beneath everything. So we can, that frequency can also be a transformational tool to help us to understand that everyone is experiencing their own disappointments, no matter how they're acting in the world. And if we have compassion for ourselves and our own disappointment, we use it as a tool, as a gateway into the new, then we can open that way for other people to make different choices too. So ultimately, it rests with you, but you are so important, the work that you do of uncovering and of opening. The more that we open to divine light and we allow it into our lives personally, we allow it into the globe. The earth is already, she's already sucking all that energy up. So just think, whenever you're doing spiritual work for a client or yourself, of how the flow on effects of that work for earth. We are so much more filled with light. There is so much potential despite what we're seeing. All the underneath energy, the spiritual energy, is powerful. So keep hope alive in your heart. Hope is a very precious resource. Hope and disappointment almost hold two sides of the same coin in a way. And you can allow the hope one to be a bit stronger. So don't deny your disappointment. Don't drown in it, but understand it's totally normal and natural as a human being to feel that. But if you can get out of your own way and you can look for the higher perspective, put your vision in the way of the God eye, of the universal eye upon your life, you'll start to see things very differently. And if you can do your best to look for the positivity, it's not about denying the negativity, but if you just look at that and discuss it and dissect negativity all of the time, it'll start to permeate you. It'll start to become part of you. So you need to have that vision. For all of you who are those visionaries, all the people, all the light workers, we know that there's something above and beyond what we see in the papers. We know that there's this light, and so we hold the space for it in our own hearts. So if the gateway to your hope is through your disappointment, I send you so many light and blessings, and I welcome you to check out the esoteric acupuncture and the channeling that I offer, or to go and get some energy work from someone, because the body wants help to clear those old times. You think about the other aspects of you where the body holds everything, it remembers everything. It remembers the lives where you died before you achieved XYZ. It holds that all. So, in a way, disappointment is an invitation from the body for you to create more freedom, to let it go, and to open up to a new pathway beyond, above and beyond what you can imagine. And isn't that exciting, to not to have to be the catalyst, the one who imagines it all in every single aspect? Because it's much more exciting to be surprised by what's coming, to be open and yet surprised. Transformation. It's ongoing, it's personal, it's powerful, and really no one is escaping it. We are all mortal beings as well as souls, and we have all brought many lives through with us. So I'm really encouraging people to focus on what they can do for themselves now to continue manifesting the new as we transmute it through releasing the old. So even just being in a state of intention to release, if you're doing meditation or you're going outside, just being willing to not hold on too tightly to anything, not hold on too tightly to the beauty, and certainly not hold on too tightly to the suffering. Being present with what is for you, and then doing your best to open up to hope. Because as I said earlier, spiritual energy always brings forward hope, sometimes a bit of humor and lightness and encouragement. It's like a really beautiful, encouraging older sibling, coach, or parent, but that has the wisdom to know that we need this lightness and we need to keep looking above and beyond, not in denial of what is, but so that we can craft something quite beautiful. Because if you get stuck in what is, you're not open to all possibility. And the truth is, we are always in this flux energy. We are always changing and shifting. So I wish you all the best for the end of this month after we've been in equinox as we continue our journey forward in 2026. And I encourage you to keep your focus upon the light and to allow that to be that handhold to take you through, because you are doing the work, you are transforming by being willing to feel the pain and then by being willing to go on the other side. We can't always be excavating ourselves. We need lightness, we need time out, we need the digestion time. So disappointment, as I say, it's a gateway. Take it as such, allow it to move you forward, and above all, continue to be gentle with yourself, because you can't force yourself to feel positive and good when you haven't processed what's there. But you don't need to make it a whole song and dance production where you roll out the entire list of everything that went before. As spiritual beings, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. I was talking to Karen Newells. You've seen her before. And we were saying she had a reckoning and understanding that there was a past life issue. She felt in her body and her fields. And she said she just felt a freedom. It was like by coming to her awareness, and I've had exactly the same thing happen for me, an awareness comes to you that you can't explain to anyone else, but you know it's something from the past. You can almost feel it as a gateway, or a door is closed, or an elastic band has broken energetically. And you don't need to know what that life was, but in being open to the ability to release what is no longer needed, and when it comes into your consciousness and you think, aha, don't have to follow the thread and research it, but you can just be open to the energy timing was right and ripe to be released. And as it is released, it opens the gateway to the new. So we release in order to receive. Blessings to you at the end of this month. And I look forward to joining you again with themes as we move through the rest of this year. So as always, you can check out the website. You can listen to the other episodes of the podcast. It's partly my passion project to encourage all of us who are spiritual, who believe in this energy, who work with this energy and live with it in our lives, to understand that sometimes it's one step forward, 10 steps back. It spirals. It's not the way that you can measure it, but it's so important for Earth and for all of us. And there's a deep beauty in it when we bring awareness and light to the path. And it can help us to have those real moments of joy and bliss and satisfaction and sensation. And the pain can lift, because the pain has meaning as well, and we know this. So wishing you encouragement in all ways. Until next time, from my podcast, 10,000 Hours and Counting, namaste.